It was very interesting, I thought, because when we came out of BlizzCon, right, everybody was saying, oh, hey, they had such a great BlizzCon. It's like, no, they fucking didn't. Not by any stretch of the imagination. They they announced a bullshit sequel to Overwatch, which would be DLC in any other world except the one where they want to just constantly, like, profiteer. They announced a very sort of lackluster World of Warcraft expansion and admitted they were having to kind of, like, halve the levels, but don't worry, we're not doing all this thing. Caused a little bit of consternation with the WoW guys. The only big win was the Diablo 4 announcement, right? And again, if you think it's going to look anything like the fucking footage that they showed you, again, we'll get back to selling bridges, because that is fucking just, there's no evidence that Blizzard will ever follow through on anything that they actually promise anymore. They have no interest in doing that. They had that mealy-mouthed apology. It was the first BlizzCon that ever had protesters outside the building in its history. And they completely fucked over the World of Warcraft competitive community with what they did with the prize pool, where they just fucking basically disappeared a little bit of it by using very clever, you know, cloudy words. And I've covered all of these things on my YouTube channel. You can go, if you're behind on all of that stuff, you can go and watch those videos. Just basically Google Richard Lewis Blizzard, or you can go and read about what a clusterfuck nightmare the Overwatch League has been with my exposés over on Deserto. There is no one as piped into what's going on at Activision Blizzard than me. Not even your boy Jason Schreier, probably. People are telling me more and more shit every day, because the people who work at that company don't want to be working at that company, but they do want to have a job in the games industry. You know, they've slashed benefits. They're firing people and rehiring people on lower salaries. They've got lawsuits going on in France over this legal action. They've got, you know, they got exposed as having been squirreling away money in tax havens, and they've said they're embroiled in, potentially going to become embroiled in legal battles over whether or not they should have to pay more tax in the UK, France, other places. They are a fucking grotesque company. They are grotesque. And at the head of it all, the puss that's just coming to a big, disgusting, occluding head is essentially Bobby Kotick. He is the poisonous, bilious element from which everything filters down. Interestingly enough, one thing that hasn't been widely reported is that he himself is named in a lawsuit because people are suing Activision Blizzard and him in particular over fiduciary irresponsibility over how the Destiny franchise was handled. Activision Blizzard are just awful. They're just awful. They are just fucking awful and petty and spiteful, by the way. So even saying things like this means, oh, criticize our company for things that are completely valid to criticize us for. We will strong-arm you and threaten to pull press passes. I'll just come out and say it now, because I told you in 2020, you know, I know I said in 2019 gloves are off, but, you know, I still sort of had like some velvet gloves on or whatever, you know, underneath my chainmail gloves that I, you know, usually wear, and before we get down to the big fucking bare knuckle and just smashing people up. But the reality now is, like, I'm just gonna call things. You know, they were fucking threatening Deserto over. You know, they were intimating towards Deserto. I should say. I shouldn't use the word threat. That would be a slight mischaracterization. But, you know, like, hey, listen, you want to be in that CDL press room, and you want to be here, and you want to be there. They are fucking despicable. They have a system in place where whenever I write anything for Deserto about Activision Blizzard, they demand the right to see it and demand the right to comment. And, you know, I told Deserto, the editors, you can do whatever the fuck you want with my work. You pay me for it, and I'm very grateful that you do. But this is the only company that sort of has this process for. Usually I'll go out and get the comments. I won't bother asking for comment from Activision Blizzard because they have either ignored me or lied to my face. So what is the point? That, you know, people always say, oh, you have to ask for comment if you're a journalist. Yeah, it's optimal. Yeah, it's ideal. But you don't go back to the same well where every comment they provide is a lie, a fabrication, a waste of your time, a disservice to your readers. I'm not going to do that. I will not serve up propaganda at the expense of my own reporting, which I know to be factually accurate. And I think what was hilarious was, if you ever want to know if you ever want to know how kind of fucked up Activision Blizzard actually are, they got a full copy of my last article on Deserto, which talks about, you know, Bobby Kotick's craziness and the Kraft, you know, how they changed how the merchandising system worked and everything because he got upset and said we should work like the NFL, you know, because his shirt sales weren't that high. And all these anecdotes are in there and all these stories are in there. And the only thing they said was, yes, we do run the business model in the way described in this article. They didn't deny a fucking thing. In fact, they verified it. And by their refusal to comment on the stuff that was in the article, also corroborated it. So the article is clearly 100% accurate, isn't it? Because they were given a right to comment and they didn't deny anything. So, you know, that's where we're at with Activision Blizzard. Now, one of the things people were waiting for, you know, coming out of that, you know, incredible BlizzCon that I was told by all the corporate bootlickers it was, and it wasn't. It was very disappointing, BlizzCon, and their announcements were, you know, in keeping with the decline and demise of the company. One of the big announcements people were looking forward to, and even I will admit myself, there was a little bit of, oh, that could be good, you know. Was Warcraft 3 Reforged. Now, let's be absolutely clear about Warcraft 3 and the Frozen Throne expansion. Probably the best art. Well, no, it's not. It's a top 3 RTS, isn't it? You've got Doom 2 is the best ever made by Westwood Studios, Command and Conquer, and Command and Conquer Red Alert. You know, you put them on the same shelf, and then it's probably Warcraft 3, isn't it? But I remember playing Warcraft 3 and its incredible modding tools and everything like that. It blew my mind. It was a game that you know, I couldn't imagine sitting and playing through an RTS campaign now. But I didn't just play through the campaign. I played mods. You know, I played everything. Like, I love that game. It was so amazing. The storyline, just incredible. So it's one of the greatest games ever made. You know, we owe so much to the existence of that game, and it's still widely regarded. It's still played. You know, Todd, my boy Todd, is still playing it. You know, Grubby's out there still playing that shit. People still play it competitively. So the idea that they were going to do this incredible remaster and bring it up to date and give it, like, you know, higher resolution graphics and, you know, completely re-recorded cutscenes and all the other things that they promised was very exciting, I imagine, for a lot of people, and certainly for people like me with a lot of nostalgia, because we were old enough to play the game the first time around, and literally as it was released, and that anticipation of, like, holy shit, and going out and buying a physical copy from Game or whatever. Even it could have even, you know, I don't buy Blizzard products now, but it could have been something I would have considered parting with some money if I was naive and expected them to actually deliver on anything they say, which they didn't, and I'll demonstrate it. What we got, instead of a wonderful modern update of a classic game from an era when Blizzard actually gave a shit, what we got instead was a broken, bust-up, second-rate, just embarrassment to a major games publishing, games developing company. It was so embarrassingly bad, and the way they handled the fallout for that embarrassment has been absolutely shocking, and sets almost a new low from the way they do deal with customers. So let's just, first of all, let's just show you the out-and-out lies that they told, because people might say, oh, Richard, it's hyperbolic to say that they lied. Well, again, you can go and look it up. You can see all the things they're on record as having said they were going to do. They're re-recording all of the cutscenes and new dialogue and all of this stuff. And it got waylaid somewhere along the line. Probably is because they looked at pre-sales and decided there's no point in actually following through on our promises here, because we're not going to make as much money off it as we thought. Now, just to give you an idea of how far, there's a lot of comparison videos on the internet about the trailer that they showed at BlizzCon, and helpfully there's one here where you can sort of see the before and after. So let me just move myself down here, and actually no, it's better if I sit here, isn't it? Godspeed. Right. So you can see here.
Glad you could make it.
Just so you can see, on the left is what they promised. This is the trailer they actually showed at BlizzCon, which they said was of game footage and how they were going to scrub it up. On the right is the product they actually ended up releasing. And just to give the creator of this video credit, this is actually the IGN comparison. So why IGN are highlighting this when we all know they're part of the mainstream games press that give everything 7 or above because they're in sort of cahoots with all of these companies? I don't know, but I guess credit to them. I guess that's how egregious it actually is. But look, I'll make myself disappear, gone, and then let's just watch this and see just how far removed the promises in the BlizzCon trailer are to what was actually released.
Uther, watch your tone with me, boy. You may be the prince, but I'm still your superior as a paladin.
As if I could forget. Listen, Uther. There's something about the plague you should know. Oh no. We're too late. These people have all been infected. They may look fine now, but it's just a matter of time before they turn into the undead. This entire city must be purged.
What? How can you even consider that? There's got to be some other way.
Damn it, Uther. As your future king, I order you to purge this city.
You are not my king yet, boy. Nor would I obey that command even if you were.
Then I must consider this an act of treason.
Treason? Have you lost your mind, Arthas?
Have I? Lord Uther, by my right of succession and the sovereignty of my crown, I hereby relieve you of your command and suspend your paladins from service.
Arthas, you can't just...
It's done. Those of you who have the will to save this land, follow me. The rest of you, get out of my sight.
So, you can see immediately that actually this bears no resemblance whatsoever, in fact. And all of the cutscenes that did get kind of, you know, remastered and everything were like this. You know, it's basically just sort of a visual update, if you remember playing the game, to essentially what you got in game, you know, with the text on there and the little head talking. And, you know, they have updated the models. There's no getting away from that. But this is so far removed from what was shown in the trailer that it's insulting. And it's hard to believe that they would even think to try and get away from this. There's no cinematic, you know, close-ups. There's, you know, it is essentially just a visual update of the old style of cutscenes in the game. And people noticed. People obviously were upset. You would be, wouldn't you? I mean, this is the equivalent of if a movie trailer was released showing you all these cool scenes, and you went to see the movie and not one of the scenes in the trailer was in the actual film, you know, you would be outraged. AAA publishers and developers do stuff like that all the time, almost as a matter of course. I mean, do I need to bring up, you know, colonial fucking Marines again or whatever? You know, it is repulsive what happens with games and what we've allowed and just took backward steps on, and we don't complain about. Fortunately, Blizzard do it all the time, so or unfortunately, but people have become conditioned to complaining and asking for refunds. Now, that was something that happened, but Blizzard decided actually you can't have refunds. They went crazy with that. I'll come to that in a second. I'll break down the Kotaku report. Now, again, Kotaku traditionally very rarely has big pokes at Activision Blizzard. It's generally a developer that they typically, you know, are very sort of glowing and positive about. I'll just move myself down here while you get strobed. You know, say that's the first time we've had a strobe tonight, isn't it? First time we've had a strobe. Not bad, XSplit. So you can see here, they say the remastered version of Blizzard's real-time strategy classic Warcraft 3 launched yesterday, and while I'm nowhere near as disappointed by the lack of enhancements and upgrades as the folks over at the official forums, Warcraft 3 Reforged certainly hasn't impressed me. Warcraft 3 Reforged was meant to be a much more ambitious remake of Warcraft 3 Reign of Chaos and the Frozen Throne expansion. Blizzard announced the game with features like a revamped user interface and enhanced cutscenes with more dynamic camera angles. There were plans to record more dialogue and tweak the game's single-player campaigns to bring them in line with the lore of World of Warcraft, which has deviated from what happened in Warcraft 3, in case you didn't know, and the massively multiplayer follow-up of the real-time strategy series. Those plans changed. The UI is almost exactly the same between the old and new versions of the game. Some voice lines have been tweaked. This is insane. War Chief Thrall calls Grom Hellscream by his last name now for some reason. They've dropped the Grom and they re-recorded lines where he just gets called Hellscream. I do not know why that was a matter of priority. That's not really been explained. No one even has any kind of working theories on why they did that I've seen at least. So that is crazy. But they actually took the time and effort to do that, but not to do other things that the game essentially needed. I mean, the UI update was probably the most highly anticipated aspect of this. Cinematic cutscenes notwithstanding, people all acknowledged a more modern UI was the priority, right? So anyway, but there aren't any massive changes. As for the more dynamic in-game cutscenes, check out the culling mission shown, which we just looked at. You can see they've got the comparison videos there. And then they actually have some screenshots here of the new textures, which they say look a little bit flat. I don't know why they're not loading in this particular stream, but you can go check them out yourself. If Warcraft 3 Reforged were just a new version of the classic game with a graphical makeover, that would be okay with me. But the way Blizzard had implemented Reforged, and now we're going to get to the important part, makes it impossible to play the old game without the new client, whether they own Reforged or not. The old and new versions have been combined into one, controlled by a toggle switch in the options menu. So yes, that is correct. You can still go back and play the old version, but you've got to have the new version get shipped, and you have to have the new client. And what this started to do, this enforced change that wasn't announced, people weren't notified, this enforced change has led to lots of errors. There are some people now who literally cannot play the game. There are multiple, examples of people complaining about this. This melding of games means the original Warcraft 3 inherits all the problems Warcraft 3 Reforged players are experienced with the new game's rocky launch, which includes connectivity problems, trouble getting into custom games. Reforged launched without ladder functionality, so now no one gets competitive ladders. It's all very messy, and fans of the games are lighting up the official Warcraft 3 Reforged forums to complain. They're accusing Blizzard of a bait and switch. They're bemoaning the loss of the original game client. They're calling it Warcraft 3 Refunded. And yes, as you should. And you should be going and getting refunds for this, even if you kind of feel, hey, it's okay, I'm not that upset about it. Just on principle, you should be pushing for a refund for this, just to show some solidarity and to say, listen, we're not going to take this shit. We are not going to put up with companies doing this fucking stuff. So anyway, on top of that, they didn't just fuck up there. They also did a thing where, let me just bring this up for you. They also did a thing where they changed the terms of service and made it so now, if you make custom maps or any of that stuff, which are a huge part of the game, by the way, a community within a community, and this isn't just something that's standard or in fine print. What they've now done is you agree when you create maps or any custom content, it's now in the terms of service that you're handing over your moral rights to created maps, which means you forego any right to claim any form of ownership, and in fact, Blizzard own them and can do with what they want, including monetization, and completely cut you the fuck out of it. They own the idea, they own the concepts, they can do it. And the reason this is in there is they don't want to get fucked over like they did with Valve and lose something like Dota again. and you know, any other cool mods or cool ideas that come out of it. But they're explicitly saying it. And listen, this isn't standard, by the way. This isn't something that's just in there because it's in every TOS that you sign in gaming. No, it has been specifically added. In fact, PC Gamer acknowledged that fact. Blizzard's claim that it owns Warcraft 3 mods isn't just the standard fine print. Now, this is led, by the way, to Warcraft 3 custom content, which is racist, sexist, homophobic. People have been making disgusting, you know, kind of content because Blizzard own it. So if you make a game where the map's in the shape of a swastika or whatever, well, it's Blizzard's, right? You made the map, but they own it. So they own all that racist stuff. So you already started having this, like, protest movement. I can't show you any of that because we're on Twitch. And even though this is an adult platform, they've infantilized debate around this stuff. Even saying the word swastika, I feel, is like, ooh, we're in risky territory now. But I can show you one that I thought was pretty funny from the subreddit. And this is made this for Blizzard since they own all custom games now. And it's a map where the tree line and everything spells out Free Hong Kong. Yes, go fuck yourself. That is now an official Blizzard map. You own it, guys. That's what you wanted, right? When you made everybody sign away their fucking moral rights. So, hey, maybe you'll have to go groveling back to China and explain why you have this political stance for a map that you own. Absolutely got 'em. Chin chin to that Reddit user. Anyway. On top of that, right, so they've eroded essentially, you know, your rights to the custom games by adding a specialist clause that wasn't there before. They've also seemingly are pushing these new argumentations as to why you can't have a refund. Now, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to basically repeat the bit that I did yesterday, but I'm also going to expand in more detail. I had a colleague, you might know of him, Nidra, Radislav Nidra Kolev. I used to work with him over at, you know, back at VPE Sports. He's been around a while. You know, he's one of those Dota 2 specialist. He was the artifact specialist for that site, so, you know, rest in peace. At least he didn't go down with that game. But he covered this over on VP Esports, and basically, this is no joke. A Blizzard support staff told somebody they couldn't refund Reforged because the game was an RTS, and that's what they were buying. That is a legitimate argument that they made to somebody asking for a refund. No joke. I know it's staggering, but I'm gonna show it to you. I'll read his report as well because I think it's a very wonderful, succinct thing. Because while this was going on, we had Metacritic bombing. By the way, it's not review bombing when the product is garbage and you deliver something you didn't promise. It's called discontent. It's perfectly fine. The games press are so cuckolded they call it review bombing when it's not review bombing at all. It is dissatisfied customers making that dissatisfaction. I can't even fucking thought. You know what I mean? Making their disgruntledness known. For the past week, the biggest drama of the gaming industry has been the launch of Warcraft 3 Reforged, the remake of the 2002 classic RTS by Blizzard Entertainment. After lavish promises of thoroughly upgraded experience, new UI, and Reforged cutscenes, Reforged launched to a sea of bugs, missing features, and a horrible user experience. The wave of discontent quickly took the form of review bombing. Again, I disagree with that characterization, but it is the term for it that is spread, so no disrespect to you, Nidra, it's fine. Reforged holds a record low 0.5 score on Metacritic. Yes, it is the lowest rated game of all time on Metacritic. You have to process that, guys. Like, you have to understand what that means when you consider some of the other games that have been fucking bombed, you know, review bombed inappropriately or appropriately on fucking Metacritic. To be the lowest of all time is staggering when you think about some of the shit that some of these companies have done. Negative feelings towards the product were further exasperated after buyers found out there isn't even an easy way to refund their purchases, especially if they had played a certain amount of hours already. Now, just to give you a bit of a background as somebody that followed this with great intent, with a huge steaming erection, because I knew Activision Blizzard were going to fuck it up again, so just, oh yeah, this is my jam. What was happening was people were trying to log into the game. People were trying to log into the game, and to do that, you occasionally have to have the game flash up, and you're trying to get in here, and trying to get into this thing, and trying to do this, and trying to do that, and this accumulates hours on the client. Every time you log in, it gains you a small amount of time. So what people who hadn't played the game would obviously buy that system, and you know this if you've ever played a game on Steam with a Steam bug, you still accumulate time even though you can't get into the game. Activision Blizzard were using that as a reason to deny you a refund, saying, hey, it says here you got 2 hours. 2 hours of trying to log in, motherfucker! So, they were actually, that was what was going on. And that was a company-wide mandate. That was the first hurdle you had to clear. Whoopsie doodle, you've got 2 hours of trying to log in. You've never played the game. We're not giving you a refund, though, because it says 2 hours on this little arbitrary thing that we fucking sorted out, right? An absolute fucking scam. Anyway, so we'll get to how they caved. But check this exchange out. I want to see. Can I just get that exchange? I probably can't I? Let's just see how big I can make it. Which, yeah, it's actually not that big. I'll read it to you anyway. I've got it here. I'll zoom in for me and just leave it on screen for you. So you know, yeah, this is somebody complaining, asking for a refund. The you know, games master or whatever the fuck they call themselves in customer support over there said, hello, how's the day treating you so far? Good, thanks. Yourself? I'm doing well, thank you. I understand that you were seeking a refund for Warcraft 3 Reforged. And the guy goes, yes, please. The customer, yes, please. I'm just not very happy with it, unfortunately. Nipolden says, I'm sorry to hear that. We do consider all purchases from our digital shop as final, so a refund is not guaranteed. I can check for any possible exceptions, though. I'm afraid that the game has been played on for a considerable amount of time, so we will not be able to provide a refund for the purchase. Now, also, I just want to add, just on that basis, think about this. If you front-loaded a game with all cool features and shit you actually promised, but then for the latter half of the game, you didn't do any of that stuff, in a narrative, campaign-driven game, you're only going to find the bugs, you're only going to find the shit fucked-up cutscenes, the lack of all the promises. You're only going to find that by playing through it. So that's a scam as well. You know, you can just front load it and go, hey, look how good it looks. New title sequence, new this, new that, and you play and you go, I got 4 hours in. This is fucking garbage. It's the same. It's worse in some ways, actually. But no, they say now, tricked you, Baron. You cannot fucking get a refund because you've had to play to find out we fucked you over. Anyway, you will not be able to provide a refund for the purchase. And then the customer replies with, I just feel the game I received wasn't what I was promised in the trailers, etc. The Blizzard representative says, I'm sorry to hear that. That doesn't change our ability to refund the purchase, though. Was there anything else I can address for you today? And the customer says, to know if it was what was promised, I had to play through a bit. There are bugs, and it is very different to what was shown. I purchased under the perception of something different to what I played. I hate to use the term false advertising. Don't hate it. It's exactly what they did. But that's what it feels like in this regard. And then the response from the Blizzard representative is, how was it falsely advertised? Did you not get a real-time strategy game? So remember, if you go and buy a car, and, you know, I tell you it's got 10,000 miles on the clock, and you get in and it's got 500,000, apparently I can turn around and say, didn't you get a car? That is a real thing that Blizzard staff were saying, is they scrambled to not give out refunds. And that's exactly what they were doing. Pre-sales hadn't been great. That's why they tanked the project in the first place. That's why they didn't go through with delivering on the promises that they made. And then they were scrambling to come up with any reason not to give you your money back when you realize you've been fucking scammed by Blizzard again. We will not be able to refund the purchase. Was there anything else I can address? If not, I will need to end the chat. And then the customer said, I was advertised certain features of the RTS game. Fulfilling the genre isn't the same as getting everything that was shown in the game trailer. And then, ignoring that statement, that true statement completely, Activision Blizzard representative said, since there isn't anything else I can address, I'll need to end the chat. Have a good day. Oh, I will. I'll have a good day holding an ice cube over my tattered ring because Activision Blizzard has fucked me once again. I will have a wonderful time. Thank you very much. Keep my fucking money. Yes, I'm a moron. Why the fuck do I keep supporting this company? And by the way, people are waking up to this fucking fact. So, let me also read the rest of this. It's worth noting this exchange happened before Blizzard moved and allowed refunds, but that doesn't really excuse it. There are more mind-boggling adventures from Reforged users who encountered customer support. After Reforged landed and upgraded all Warcraft 3 clients to Reforged ones, a Reddit user woke up to find their computer is no longer powerful enough to run the classic versions. The versions they paid for and have owned for years. They didn't want the update. They've just been given it. So he went on a mission to get a refund. Naturally, they meet resistance. Not naturally at all. Not naturally. They met resistance from the support staff because, granted, it's almost an unreasonable request. I don't support that at all. I think it's very reasonable. I think if you force an update on something, that means I can't use a product I purchased earlier, then you need to refund me for the original purchase. Of course. Well, we need to get away from this idea that games are like some ephemeral thing that you buy, you know, and then a developer, the publisher can just take them away from you arbitrarily. Like, hey, we're shutting down all the servers now. I paid $60, like. Yeah, but we're shutting down the servers, so you just can't play it anymore. What happens to my money? You got $60 worth of entertainment. No, I bought a physical product. I bought a physical product, a digital product. I bought a product. I fucking want to be able to use that product for an indefinite amount of time. No, but you can't. Sorry. We need to just move the fuck away from this, like, as being the norm. It's not the norm. It doesn't work like this in any other fucking aspect of consumer rights. But anyway, on they go. So you can see this is the one where, and as I said yesterday, please, Activision Blizzard, listen to me, Richard Lewis, god of esports, god of gaming, god of journalism. I am a multi-faceted god. You need to stop taking the piss out of your customers with your practices, sure. But here's what you can do for absolutely certain. You can not rub salt in the wound by calling your fucking customer service advisors, first of all, letting them use gamer names. I am having a serious interaction about my fucking money. It's as serious as it gets. I don't want to talk to someone called Jesterfrel. I think that's not asking too fucking much. And don't call them fucking games masters. They're customer service representatives. This is fucking pathetic, you fucking assholes. But anyway, so this person tried to get it. And he was told, you can simply leave it as is until you get a PC that can run the new game. That's it. What's the matter, guys? Don't you have disposable income? Just upgrade your PC. But it was working fine. You gave me an update I didn't want. Yeah, shit happens. Just buy a new PC, mate. Yeah, exactly. Stop being poor. What's the matter? Don't you have money in your fucking bank account? It's the disconnect that you see. And understand, there's no reason for these guys to be disconnected. They should be like you and I. They should just be regular gamers, regular people. They don't work in a high-level job at Activision Blizzard. They're fucking grunts on the front line getting paid minimum fucking wage with minimum fucking benefits, minimum fucking attention, and minimum fucking training, employed for the minimum amount of time that Activision Blizzard can get away with. And they're just there to just deal with your shit and just throw shit back at you. But there's no reason they should be like this. There's no reason they should lack this, like, empathy or sympathy. They're being told to say these things. Although one can sympathize, with Reforged customer support, forced to deal with a massive angry community, one has to wonder how many bizarre stories like this will appear in coming weeks, as the public discontent towards Reforged does not seem to be declining. So now we go through a system where we're basically having to, Activision, you're having to basically crawl over broken glass with your fucking flies unzipped just to beg mighty Activision Blizzard, oh, please, sir, please can I have a refund for the product that wasn't as you promised? Please can I have a refund for the product that doesn't do what it says? Please, the glass, please, please, sir, can I just have a crumb of a refund for breaking the game I already own? Turns out, nah, you can't. Like, go fuck yourself. So, in the end, they did realize that they had to, change what was going on. They had to adopt a policy that made sense because the publicity and just the chance of a fucking lawsuit, frankly, the chance of a class action, made it so they were going to have to fucking cave, and they did. And here it is. Refunds for Warcraft 3 Reforged. Blizzard stands by the quality of our products and our services. The fucking nerve of that statement alone. A corporate statement that is repeated by almost everyone in the company. If you stand by the quality of this game, fuck yourself forever, because it's an embarrassment. If you stand by the quality of other products you put out in the past, I was there on Diablo 3 fucking launch day where you couldn't even log in and play the motherfucker. If you stand by that, if you fuck yourself. You've got no right working in my fucking industry. You're a clown. So anyway, fair enough. Normally we set limits for refunds availability on a game based on time since purchase and whether it has been used. However, we want to give players the option of a refund if they feel that Warcraft 3 Reforged does not provide the experience they wanted. So we've decided to allow... And again, you'll notice that they're wording it didn't provide the experience you wanted. No, it didn't provide the experience you promised. Very different. So we've decided to allow refunds upon request for the time being. You can request a refund here on our support site. So, Activision Blizzard, there's some sort of apology due, right? I mean, if you fuck up this badly and you make a fucking game that isn't as promised, and you acknowledge that even tacitly, if not explicitly, by making it so people can, can just get refunds and going against all form of policy, which is a very powerful statement in itself and an admission of guilt in any other fucking, way of thinking. You need to apologize, right? Well, let me introduce you to another Activision Blizzard classic, the non-apology. Yes, much like the Blitzchung scandal at BlizzCon, where fucking they sent out fucking Bo Bridges to fucking not apologize for the thing that definitely didn't happen, but yeah, we can do better and give you more Epic Gamer moments. Now come here, China. Your boot looks a bit dirty there. Love you, China. Love you, oppressive regime. Anyway, back to BlizzCon, buy our fucking product, you fucking shills. Right? So, I'm going to introduce you to the fucking Blizzard non-apology, guys. Here's the Activision Blizzard non-apology. It was your fault all along, right? So, over at Polygon, favorite publication of mine, big fan, love them. Thank you, Glacier6, for the 5 gifted subs, homie. Appreciate it. Blizzard apologizes for the condition of Warcraft 3 Reforged and promises action. But wait. We want to say sorry to those of you who didn't have the experience you wanted. And we'd like to share our plans for what is coming next. We'll share. So, again, you didn't get the experience you wanted, and we're sorry about that. We're sorry the thing that we promised you. Oh no, wait, we can't say that. The thing you wanted, we're sorry about that. We're sorry that you wanted the thing we promised to you and we didn't give it to you. We're really sorry. I can't even imagine it. It's like, you go on a one-night stand and you say, yo, baby, I'm ready, man. I'm fucking turned. I'm going to fuck all night. and 5 minutes in, you blow your beans and you roll over and go to sleep, and in the morning, you say, hey, I'm sorry you didn't get the experience you wanted, darling. Doors that way, you know, here's my phone, call an Uber. You know, I mean, that's basically what Activision Blizzard had done here. You know, they fucking blown their beans, rolled over, farted, and gone to sleep, like, and then told you you're the fucking asshole for thinking you were gonna get to come tonight. Like, it's fucking insane. Like, I can't even believe what I'm fucking reading. And then, as if the non-apology isn't bad enough, they say, hey, we're going to share what our release plans as work progresses in the coming weeks. So we are doing something. We can't tell you what it is. So please don't refund it because we are doing something, but we can't tell you what. Please be assured the team is hard at work on standing these features up. And then to explain why the cutscenes don't look like what was promised in the trailer, they go, and this is madness. This is madness. This is absolute madness. I can't believe they have the nerve to say this. It's unbelievable. We did not want the in-game cutscenes to steer too far from the original game. That was the fucking selling feature, you fucking cretins! That's what you said you were gonna do explicitly! That was a fucking feature of the fucking game! That's what you showed the trailer for! Right now, right, Bobby Kotick has his fucking chode dick out. He is pissing into the face of the customer. And it's just, oh, it's raining outside, guys. It's fucking raining. It's never stopping raining, though. Torrential, some would say. It is insane. It is insane that they got together, they had their little fucking gathering of executives, and that's the best they could come up with. Oh, yeah, because, you know, we wanted them to look the same as in the game. You said the entire point was to make it look better and more in line with modern standards. You're on record multiple times. You showed a trailer. If you didn't want it to deviate, why did you make the trailer the way you fucking made it? Like, this is so fucking illogical and insane. It's like, I can't, like, and that is literally the best they could come up with, by the way. That is all of the mind power, all of the IQ at Activision Blizzard sat down around a table, and that is the best they could do to lie to you. That is the best lie they could come up with. Isn't that just indicative of how wretched and incompetent and lacking in ideas the company is? A bunch of empty fucking suits. Fucking savage. Hey, I did a rant and I'm still at 80 beats. Not bad. Good. Heart's not gonna pop on this one, lads. Anyway, now there's one little last part to the story. Because they don't just do non-apologies, do they? They don't just do that. They then also have to turn it around and basically play being a victim. And one of the reasons why Warcraft 3 Reforged was released at the time it was released is they thought it was going to give them a cash injection before they had to sit down with their investors and tell them about their financial earnings, and that it was going to be an easy win, a positive thing to talk about. And instead, it's been a disaster because Activision Blizzard is so fucking arrogant, they don't understand that they fuck everything up now. So they did their investor call. This is yesterday. They did their investor call. And they just had a little pity party for themselves, didn't they? Oh, is it hard for you, mega corporation, and your wickle feelings? Is it hard for you that you lied to all of your wickle consumers and didn't deliver the... I don't know why I'm talking like the uwu fucking furry meme. You know, as if it's hard on you. It's hard on the cunt with a fucking third world computer, barely held together with elastic bands, that can't play his favourite fucking game anymore because he hasn't got the money to buy a new one, and you tell him he has to. It's hard on that cunt. But no, the real victims in all of this, guys, were Activision Blizzard themselves. It's been a hard week since Warcraft 3 Reforged launched. Blizzard tells investors, this is on PC Games In, the publication that famously denigrated me, published false and defamatory information, and had to retract and apologize once the lawyers were involved. I always love seeing the orange header, actually, and it just gives me a warm glow knowing that I absolutely bent these fucking guys over, and forever. I know that there's a little picture of me somewhere in their office that I got them anyway. Let's listen to J. Allen Brack, Bo Bridges, the man who did the non-apology, and you know, nearly started crying because he's having his Jesus moment. Oh, God, we're so sorry. We're so awesome for apologizing. Like, just jacked up on their own fucking hubris. It had to be Blizzard president J. Allen Brack, and he said, honestly, it's been a bit of a hard week. This is what he said on. Remember, this is what he's telling the investors, all the people on the financial call. Our community has come to expect really amazing things from us. Not for about 3 or 4 years, if we're being honest, though, mate. Really, I don't even expect competent things from Activision Blizzard anymore, and I don't know a single person who thinks differently. Actually, does anyone? Does anyone actually have any high expectations for Activision? There's not a single person, is there? I mean, there just isn't. And we've heard from them that we did not achieve that bar. The bar wasn't amazing. The bar was just promise. Deliver what you promised. That was it. That was the bar. The bar was, in 2018, you produced a trailer that looked like this. In 2020, you couldn't even deliver the thing you already had done in 2018. You went backwards, you fucking cunts. So no, it's not an amazing bar. It's just don't go backwards. That's it. You can't even do that anymore. But we stand... Oh, this corporate line again. We stand behind our games and have consistently shown that not only do we support them, we continue to build on them, even after launch... And we're committed to doing that here as well. And so we're going to continue to update the game, and we'll continue to update the community with our plans going forward. So in other words, guys, right? Listen, it's been really hard on us. And you should know by now that even when we fuck up and we don't deliver things we promise, we do work hard to get it to a place where you'll kind of eventually sort of just forget how badly we fucked you so we can keep you as a customer. That is what that statement means. I'm an expert in cutting through jargon and bullshit now, and, you know, these gray hairs, you know, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I hate how this side's curling up because of the fucking mic wire. It looks really scruffy. It's my bad side. I need to talk. Anyway, absolute nonsense, and just horrifying to think that they even are going to try and play this out the way they're playing it out. Stick around, it's going to get better. Day one counts. It's the most important in a lot of ways. Day one, right? We do everything backwards in gaming now. Day one, shit on day. It's like if you first, again, I'll keep using an analogy. I'm obviously very lonely. All my analogies revolve around sex and dating tonight. I'm just lonely and sad and miserable. But, you know, it's like if your first date was shit, you don't get a second one, right? You don't go, oh, hey, listen, baby, you know, I'm scruffy and I smell and I didn't shower tonight. And, you know, but hey, wait till the third date. I'll really fucking impress you. I'll put on cologne, you know. Like, you don't get to date 3. Do you? They don't come back. They go. But in gaming, we turn up for that first... The companies turn up for that first date, T-shirt hitched up to their tits, gut hanging out, stinking, hungover, shit up the back of the drawers. Yeah, I haven't even brought my credit card. I can't even pay for the dinner. Can you do it, love? Like, that'd be fucking brilliant. Yeah, let me just get a drink. I'm really fucking struggling here. And they think you're coming back. And we do. We actually do. We go, oh, that fat smelly cunt with no money. He's got a heart of gold, probably, once I get to know about it. What the fuck is wrong with us? Fuck me.